For Plotinus, the good life, the virtuous life, is the life of the mystic, who makes a pilgrimage along life's way from being preoccupied with the physical world, where most people spend their lives just as materialists. Their whole life is focused on things that you can handle, taste, touch, see, and hear, and that sort of thing. And he said that the first step beyond that is to the contemplative life, whereby the mind rises above the shadowy cave of Plato, where people are locked into the world of material things, the world of the receptacle. Remember, Plato wanted us to get out of the cave of sense perception and into the realm of the mind, where contemplation is the highest source of truth. Well, Plotinus adds a new dimension to this, that there's still another stage after that, and it is the stage of mystical union. Now, how does this fit with Christianity? You read the New Testament, and there are obviously elements of mysticism found within it. And Paul's up in the third heaven, and Paul talks about our union with Christ, what we would call the mystical union of the believer with Christ, and so on. But there's a different kind of thinking in historic Christian mysticism from what we find in these ancient philosophies. For the ancient mystic, this stage of progression, this movement, this pilgrimage that I've talked about, that begins with sense perception or sensation, and then moves through contemplation, and then moves to what the mystics call communio, which is a being with God, a communion with God. We talk in Christian theology about the communion of the saints, in the sense in which we have fellowship with each other, not only with those who are alive, but with those who are part of the church, past, present, and future, and so on. But that's more or less the end of the road for Christian mysticism. The highest form of mysticism is to have this mystical communion with God. But not so with Plotinus and other mystics. The next stage is unio, where you become one with God. Now, this is a common feature in Eastern religions, where the goal of your religious experience is to lose your personal identity, to become one with the oversoul. And so often you'll hear the illustration of the drop of water that falls into the ocean, that loses its identity as it becomes absorbed into the whole of things. Now, this is significant for Plotinus because of his concept of God. For Plotinus, God is called the One, with a capital O, Hohen, the One, where he calls God one in such a way that would suggest a pure pantheism. But most experts who study Plotinus say that Plotinus was not really your garden variety pantheism. In fact, he tried to avoid pantheism and at the same time avoid Christianity. But still, the highest being is called the One.